You can search your entire life for love in others, but there is one psychological truth that will keep it forever out of reach until you face it. This isn't about self-help cliches or learning to love your shadow. This is about a fundamental mechanism of the human psyche, identified by Carl Jung, that dictates every connection you form. If you don't understand how this works, you will continue to attract the same painful dynamics, no matter how many times you try to start over. Today, we're going to uncover that mechanism. You'll discover not just why your relationships follow certain patterns, but exactly how to break them for good. This is about moving from theory to a tangible shift in your lived experience. By the time we finish, you'll have a new lens through which to see every person who enters your life. The people you're drawn to, and those who irritate you beyond reason, are not random. They are living mirrors. They reflect back to you the very parts of yourself that you have not yet acknowledged or embraced. Think about the last person who triggered a powerful reaction in you, that surge of attraction or that simmering frustration. They are more than just a character in your story. They are a message. They are showing you a disowned fragment of your own being. Perhaps you consistently find yourself captivated by people who feel emotionally distant. Or maybe you feel endlessly annoyed by those who display a confidence you wish you had. Today, you will learn to decode these reflections. You will see how to use your relationships as the most precise map for your own personal growth. Because until you do this, you will keep looking for love in places that can never provide it. The pivotal question shifts from, why is this person like this, to a far more empowering one. What is this person revealing about me? This principle of the relational mirror is profound. When someone elicits a strong emotional charge from you, you are likely witnessing a projection of your own shadow. Look at the recurring themes in your connections. Do you find a pattern of pursuing similar types of people? Or do you notice a habit of avoiding specific kinds of personalities? Both impulses are incredibly revealing. Your attractions and your aversions are two sides of the same psychological coin. They point directly to your inner world. When you feel a magnetic pull toward someone, pause and ask, what quality in them am I admiring? Is it possible that this is a trait I have not fully owned or expressed within myself? You might be drawn to someone's free spirit because your own life feels tightly constrained. Conversely, when someone grates on your nerves, get curious. What specifically is the trigger? Could it be that I also possess this characteristic, but I have been unwilling to acknowledge it? Perhaps a display of arrogance in others bothers you because you secretly struggle with feelings of superiority that you've been taught to suppress. This level of self-honesty is challenging, but it is the bedrock of transformation. You must be willing to look at the parts of yourself you've kept in the dark. The most difficult people in your life are often your most valuable teachers. That individual who consistently irritates you might be the very key to unlocking a part of you that craves integration. It is no accident that certain individuals cross your path. They appear as guides, pointing you toward the wholeness you seek. Remember, just as others mirror you, you also serve as a mirror for them. Understanding this fosters both deep compassion and profound personal responsibility. When someone reacts negatively toward you, they're often not reacting to you, but to the reflection of themselves they see in you. Instead of meeting defensiveness with more defensiveness, you can choose understanding. The goal here is not just to identify patterns, but to transmute them. Once you see which part of you is being reflected in a challenging relationship, you can begin to heal that part. As you consciously integrate these rejected or underdeveloped aspects, your relationships will begin to change, naturally and without force. This process of integration is a journey, not a single event. Be patient. Observe your emotional reactions as if you were a curious scientist, without judgment. The people who trigger you are pointing to your unlived life. Over time, you will find that those who once provoked intense responses in you gradually lose their power. The healthier, more balanced connections you desire will start to appear. Instead of attracting partners who mirror your old wounds, you will draw those who reflect your healing. You will stop seeking in others what you feel is missing within yourself. Your connections will be built on a foundation of shared completeness, not emotional dependency. Real love only becomes possible after this journey inward. When you love from a place of wholeness, your relationships transform into spaces for mutual evolution rather than wells of neediness. You no longer require someone else to fill a void. You're already full. And here is the core of it all. The parts of yourself you reject are the very parts that undermine your relationships. You cannot love fully if you do not accept all of who you are. Consider the traits you dislike in yourself, the ones you try to hide. That is your shadow. And until you make peace with it, you will keep projecting your insecurities onto the people around you. For instance, if showiness in others bothers you, a part of you might fear being seen as arrogant. If you're drawn to people who make you feel insignificant, it may be because a part of you doesn't yet feel fully worthy. Here, you will learn how to integrate your shadow, not to achieve perfection, but to become whole. Only when you accept everything you are can you love and be loved authentically. Your shadow isn't only your denied weaknesses. It also contains your unrecognized strengths and gifts. When you reject aspects of yourself, you create a fracture in your being, an invisible barrier that blocks the deep connection you crave. But when you embrace your entirety, you cease seeking love as an external reward. You become a source of love. And from that place, genuine connection is inevitable. This internal division causes us to seek in others what we deny in ourselves. Every time you harshly judge someone, you're facing a mirror. That irritating quality in another person is often a reflection of something within you that remains unclaimed. Pay close attention to your strongest reactions. Within them, you will find the most valuable clues to your own nature. Perhaps you disdain neediness in others because you fear your own vulnerability. Or maybe you criticize ambition because you haven't permitted yourself to acknowledge your own desires for achievement. Your shadow also shows up in your romantic life. We are often pulled toward people who openly express what we have repressed. If you feel irresistibly drawn to powerful personalities, ask yourself, is there a part of me that longs to step into my own authority? If you constantly seek partners you can fix, you may be projecting your own unmet need for care. Relationship sabotage happens in subtle ways. Perhaps you fear abandonment, so you push people away before they can leave you. Or you fear being controlled, so you resist any input from your partner, even when it's helpful. These are not random behaviors. They are defense mechanisms of shadow that has not been integrated. Integrating your shadow requires courage. The first step is simply being willing to see it without self-condemnation. Whenever you feel a strong aversion to something in another person, gently ask, where does this live within me? Not to blame, but to understand yourself more deeply. Integration also involves finding safe ways to express these repressed aspects. If you've suppressed your creativity, find an outlet for it. If you've denied your need for connection, practice being vulnerable with someone you trust. Over time, these disowned parts will transform from hidden saboteurs into sources of authentic power. A powerful practice is to write a letter to your shadow. Acknowledge its existence. Thank it for its attempts to protect you. State your intention to welcome it with compassion. This internal dialogue can be the start of a profound reconciliation. The beautiful paradox is that by accepting your darkest corners, you become more radiant. By embracing your imperfections, you become more real. And it is this authenticity that opens the door to true connection. The deepest relationships emerge when two people meet as complete beings, with both light and shadow integrated. You no longer need a partner to complete you. You arrive whole. You no longer project your fears onto others because you have made peace with them within yourself. Relationships are not just about feeling good. They're about growing. Every conflict, every disappointment is an opportunity to know yourself more fully. In this exploration, you will learn to see love not as a finish line, but as a path of continuous self-discovery. Until you grasp this, you will keep repeating the same cycles. For example, if you always end up in relationships where you feel abandoned, there is likely an abandonment wound that needs your attention. If you constantly seek people who offer security, it may be because a part of you does not feel safe on its own. Here, you will discover how to use love as an instrument for growth, not as a goal that constantly eludes you. When we view love only as a source of comfort, we miss its deeper, transformative potential. Relationships are life's most intense classroom, the clearest reflection of our inner world. Every person who comes into your life arrives with a specific lesson. And until you learn that lesson, the pattern will repeat. The faces may change, but the underlying theme remains the same. Relational patterns are not accidents. If you look at your romantic history, you will see recurring threads connecting seemingly different experiences. Maybe you always end up with partners who are emotionally unavailable, or you consistently attract those who need rescuing. These patterns are invitations. They are signals pointing to internal wounds that require your awareness. Attachment science shows us that our earliest bonds create blueprints that replay in our adult relationships. If you learned as a child that love was unreliable, you may unconsciously seek out inconsistency because it feels familiar, even when it's painful. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward changing them. The true purpose of romantic love is not merely to make you happy, though happiness is a wonderful benefit. Its deeper purpose is to reveal aspects of yourself that would otherwise stay hidden. It is an intimacy that your deepest fears, your protective strategies, and your unspoken desires come to the surface. Love is not just about finding the right person. It is about becoming the person who can love deeply, fearlessly, and consciously. When conflict arises, the most valuable question is not who is right, but what is this situation teaching me about myself? Perhaps your intense reaction to a casual comment reveals a deep-seated insecurity. Maybe your need for control is masking a profound fear of being left. These insights, though sometimes uncomfortable, are treasures for anyone committed to their growth. Your attractions also serve as powerful guides. They pull you toward aspects of yourself waiting to be expressed. If you deeply admire someone's freedom, it may be because you yearn for more liberation in your own life. If you're captivated by another's creativity, it could be a sign that there is an artist within you waiting for permission to emerge. Your strongest attractions are not random. They are maps leading you toward your own unlived potential. Heartbreak, while painful, offers an extraordinary chance for growth. When a relationship ends, you have a choice. You can blame the other person and remain stuck in the same cycle, or you can turn inward and ask, what can I learn from this? The path you choose determines whether you grow wiser or more bitter from the experience. Mature love does not seek a perfect partner. It seeks mutual evolution. A relationship rooted in this understanding is not solely about individual happiness, but about shared expansion. In this kind of partnership, every challenge is embraced as a chance to grow, to break old limits, and to heal together. Paradoxically, when you embrace love as a tool for personal growth, happiness finds you more deeply and sustainably. You no longer depend on perfect circumstances or an ideal partner to feel fulfilled. Instead, you find satisfaction in the very process of evolving, of coming to know yourself more intimately through the mirror your partner provides. The shift begins when you stop saying, I always end up with the same kind of person, and start asking, why do I keep choosing this dynamic? This change in perspective restores your power. You're no longer a victim of fate or others' actions. You become the conscious author of your relational life. Embracing love as a path of self-growth requires bravery. You must be willing to face uncomfortable truths, to question long-held beliefs, and to release old identities that no longer serve you. But the reward is immense. More authentic connections, deeper self-knowledge, and the capacity to love from a place of freedom, not need. Why do you find yourself in the same relational dynamics? The answer lies within your subconscious mind. The patterns you repeat are not mere coincidences. They're signals that something within you is calling for healing. For instance, if you're consistently drawn to people who cause you pain, it is likely that an unresolved emotional wound is seeking attention. If you're always looking for validation from your partners, it may be because a part of you feels inherently unseen or unworthy. Today, you will learn how to identify these cycles and interrupt them, so you can create healthier, more conscious bonds. Because until you do, you will keep attracting relationships that leave you feeling empty. Toxic relationship patterns are like invisible loops that replay with precision in your life. You might change partners, but the fundamental dynamic stays the same. This is not a curse or bad luck. It is the result of deeply ingrained subconscious programming that influences your choices without your conscious awareness. These subconscious patterns often form in childhood, when you first learned what love meant and how relationships worked. If you grew up in an environment where love was conditional on performance, you may now find yourself constantly seeking approval in your adult life. If affection in your past was mixed with criticism, you might feel strangely comfortable in relationships where conflict is present. The saying, "the familiar feels safe," explains why we unconsciously repeat unhealthy relational dynamics. Your nervous system is wired to seek what it knows, even when the known is painful. This is why many people leave one difficult relationship only to find themselves in another, nearly identical one. The first step in breaking these patterns is cultivating self-awareness. Study your relationship history as if you were reviewing a film. What themes keep appearing? Do you always end up feeling left behind? Are you drawn to people who are hard to reach? Do you tend to lose your sense of self in partnerships? These repetitions are not mistakes. They are clues pointing to specific emotional injuries. Behind every toxic pattern lies a limiting belief. If you constantly attract people who are disloyal, you might hold a deep-seated belief that you are not deserving of fidelity. If you always find yourself in controlling dynamics, you may unconsciously believe you are not capable of steering your own life. These beliefs act like magnets, drawing experiences that confirm them. Neuroscience reveals that these patterns are not just psychological, they are neurological. Through repetition, you have forged strong neural pathways. Breaking these circuits requires persistent awareness and the deliberate creation of new experiences that challenge your old habits. A powerful exercise is to identify your emotional triggers, those specific situations that provoke a disproportionate response. Perhaps a simple delay from your partner sparks an intense fear of abandonment, or a casual remark about your appearance activates a deep insecurity. These triggers are windows into your core wounds. Healing begins when you take responsibility for your patterns. This does not mean blaming yourself, but rather acknowledging your role in creating and maintaining these cycles. As long as you see yourself as a victim of circumstance, you remain trapped. Your power to change emerges only when you assume responsibility. Breaking patterns requires reconnecting with your body. Relational habits operate similarly to other ingrained behaviors. There are physical sensations that precede compulsive choices. Learn to recognize how the pull toward a familiar, yet unhealthy, dynamic feels in your body. There might be a charged excitement, a false sense of certainty, a comforting familiarity. This recognition gives you the power to pause and choose consciously rather than react automatically. A fundamental step is to set clear boundaries, both with others and with yourself. If you know you tend to lose your identity in relationships, create rituals that maintain your connection to yourself. If you're drawn to people with certain problematic traits, define clearly what behaviors you will not accept. Boundaries are acts of self-love that disrupt cycles of self-sabotage. Real transformation happens when you dare to choose the new, even when it feels unfamiliar at first. If you have always been drawn to drama and intensity, a calm, stable relationship might initially feel boring. This discomfort is normal. You are building new neural pathways, new ways of experiencing connection. Remember, breaking patterns is a process, not a one-time event. There will be moments of slippage, temptations to return to the familiar. Each time you recognize the pattern and choose differently, you strengthen your new path. Your brain's neuroplasticity is on your side. With every new choice, you are literally rewiring your mind. The ultimate goal is not relational perfection, but the awareness that allows you to choose freely. When you are no longer driven by unconscious programming, you can create relationships that reflect who you are now, not the wounds of your past. You can love not from emptiness or compulsion, but from wholeness and liberty. Authentic love is not something you find. It is something you build. When you love yourself unconditionally, love ceases to be a quest and becomes your natural state. This is the shift that changes everything. Because until you understand this, you will keep searching outside for what can only be cultivated within. Love is not merely something you give or get, it is what you are. And when you live from that truth, your relationships stop being a source of pain and become an expression of your deepest self. You cannot find the love you seek until you become it. We are often taught that love is an external force, something that happens to us if we are fortunate. This romantic narrative, while appealing, places us in a passive, dependent role. We wait to be chosen, to be seen, to be loved. But this perspective reverses the true nature of love. Genuine love arises from within you, like a spring, not as something you must extract from another person. When you depend on external sources to feel love, you create a pattern of perpetual scarcity. You become a container with holes impossible to fill. The paradigm shift occurs when you realize that you are the primary source of your own love experience. You do not need permission to love yourself. You do not need to earn it. Self-love is not a reward for being good enough. It is your birthright, your natural condition. It is what remains when you remove the barriers you have built against yourself. The practice of unconditional self-love is revolutionary in a world that has taught you to value yourself based on your output, your appearance, or your achievements. It means honoring yourself when you fail as much as when you succeed. It means speaking to yourself with the kindness you would offer a dear friend. It means recognizing your inherent worth, completely independent of any external validation. As you cultivate this loving relationship with yourself, a profound change unfolds in your external world. You no longer approach others from a place of need or emptiness, but from fullness. You stop seeking in others what you believe you lack. Instead, you generously share what you already possess in abundance. The beautiful irony is that when you stop desperately needing love, you become far more capable of experiencing it deeply. Your relationships then become spaces of expansion, not completion. You do not seek someone to make you happy. You share the happiness you have already cultivated. You do not expect another to heal your wounds, though you may heal alongside them. You do not depend on someone else to feel valuable, though you can celebrate the value they see in you. This shift transforms the very nature of your attractions. When you operate from lack, you attract people who mirror your unhealed injuries. When you operate from wholeness, you attract those who reflect your integrity, who resonate with your frequency of self-respect. It is the difference between an attraction based on addiction and one based on true affinity. The practice of self-love is not narcissism. In fact, it is the opposite. Narcissism springs from profound insecurity, from an inner void that demands constant validation. Authentic self-love comes from recognizing and honoring your complete humanity. It allows you to see others with greater clarity and compassion because you're no longer projecting your unmet needs onto them. A transformative exercise is to practice conscious self-compassion. When difficult emotions surface, fear, sadness, anger, shame, instead of judging or suppressing them, welcome them as part of your human experience, not as flaws to be eliminated. This radical acceptance changes your relationship with your inner world and, by extension, with everything outside of you. Remember, love is not a destination you arrive at, but a daily practice. There will be days when loving yourself feels difficult, days when old voices of self-criticism return. Do not be discouraged. Every moment of awareness is a new opportunity to choose love again. Every time you return to yourself after a moment of disconnect, you strengthen your capacity for authentic love. The greatest paradox is this. When you stop seeking love as something you lack, you discover it has always been there. It is the ocean you have been swimming in, desperately searching for water. You have been immersed in love all along. Your task is not to find it, but to recognize it, to allow it, to express it, first toward yourself, and then, naturally, toward everything around you. This is the secret that has been shared across ages. Love is not just something you do, it is what you are. And when you live from that truth, every relationship, every encounter becomes an expression of that loving essence, which is your truest nature. Love is not a prize awarded for being enough. It is a state that emerges when you fully accept yourself, light and shadow together. No one will love you as profoundly as you can love yourself. And that is the key. When you finally understand this, love stops being a desperate search and becomes a simple expression of who you are. If this message connected with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to continue learning how to transform your life from the inside out, please like this video and subscribe to the Winds of Thought channel. Remember, love is not something you find. It is something you build. And that construction project starts today within you. Thank you for being here on this journey. I'll see you in the next video.